Hello, hello, hello. Black Bean Samson here. It is April the 2nd, 2018, approximately 1:15 p.m. So, today I just heard on Rush Limbaugh approval rating for Trump is up to 50%. That is astonishing, actually. Not the fact that Trump doesn't deserve it, because he deserves it, I believe, but because of all the negative publicity and just news coverage that is fake news coverage that is spotlighted on him. It's amazing that all this negativity, through it all, relentlessly through Facebook, Twitter, mass media such as CNN and MSNBC and CBS, all these huge organizations trying to take down Trump in some way or another, are completely failing. It makes me curious of why exactly that is, beyond the fact that truth does shine through the most darkest voids. Like a supernova at times. But it takes a while. It really does. It takes a while for truth to really push through that darkness. And I'm hoping that's what really is happening here. But I think, in some sense, even though finally he's getting a good approval rating, it might not be enough to really truly save the Western nations as what was known as the European Western traditional nations, such as the UK, Britain, and America. All those places, essentially. Essentially where all the white people come from, right? It's... I had optimistic views about things turning around between Brexit and Trump, and the spotlight on Catalonian exit. But it seems like all the conservative or people who are, I guess you could say, right-leaning, either they're just not standing up against the relentless attacks, or they're just not being vocal as they should be. But maybe that would have never been enough either. I mean, you could see just with the whole rape epidemic that's happening between the Sweden and Britain and France. I mean, you would think over the last approximately 40 years or so, 30 years, rape has gone up so drastically. You would think the people of those nations would open their eyes from all that and realize that what they have been pushing for an agenda, which is diversity and multiculturalism, has cost tens of thousands of women cost them. It has cost them a lot of emotional trauma, physical trauma, even some life. And yet, when you speak up against it or speak up about it, you're casted out like you're some racist or some person that hates Muslims or something like that, because majority of these rapes are coming from Islamic Muslim men. Yet for some reason, pointing that out makes you an evil person, which is quite astonishing. Like I'm sorry, 2 + 2 is 4. Like, hate me all you want, but it's just like I don't understand how these people can't see through all the bullshit they're told. The fact that you might have never heard of a rape case or never even knew about a rape victim, little as 10, 20 years ago, to where now you probably know or have friends that know of someone or multiple women being raped. And how does it go that? How does it go to that? And then all these women in those nations that are against men, patriarchal aggression and stuff, right? Like the abusive masculinity side of things, using your masculinity to submit people, essentially. Like, these feminists don't like that, right? But yet they don't speak up at all against this stuff. Just you know. And I would think, you know, I would have thought, or I was thinking, that between Trump and all the Brexit and the Catalonian exit that they were trying to push for, and Catalonian was essentially was a failure. Like they had a large group of people in the northern region essentially vote for an exit out of the Spaniard government, because they were being essentially abused, economically abused. A lot of their wealth was being siphoned away from them, being brought to the South Spaniard people, and was mostly immigrants, which is harming the people in the North. Well, when they tried to exit, well, look at what happened. Look at Spain's government released hell on them. You know, it wasn't a negotiation. It wasn't that we'll fix this through economics relief, through not taking so much money from you or something along those lines. No, they physically attacked them. It really shows you the desperate need of people to keep government flowing. See, without working people, without people that have the ability to make money and produce value, governments just cease to exist, essentially. Or they become so small that they become practically insignificant to the larger scale or the bigger area. Well, maybe for a city or something, but not to expand past that. So I was optimistic, but now between the omnibus bill, $1.3 trillion, to the failure of the Catalonian, they don't even seem like they're trying anymore. The Brexit, that seemed like it just pretty much stopped, and there's no actually stopping the immigrant flow coming in. The fact that you have Canada making some of the most absurd laws, even like Scotland and Germany, they're making these crazy absurd laws about like anti-Semitism, like the gentleman who now is going to jail for videotaping his dog called the Nazi Pug because he taught his dog to lift his arm up for a treat. And you could say just about any word and he would lift his paw up. Well, instead of saying just about any word, he used Sung Hai, the Nazi saying whatever it really means. I don't know what it exactly means. Something to do with raising your arm up and saluting Germany or something. I don't know. Never really learned what the hell that word really means, but for some reason saying Sung Hai and then having your dog lift its arm up is somehow offensive to people. Well, the only people that should be offensive to is to Nazis. Nazis should be offended to that. Hell, if I was a Nazi, I wouldn't want some pathetic looking, cute looking, ugly dog acting like a Nazi. That's degrading essentially to the Nazis. All right, it's like taking Allah and being like, see, my Nazi pug is, or my pug is just like Allah, and it's committing rape on little other younger dogs, or whatever the case is. You know, that would be offensive to the Muslim people. So I'm like very confused by that. Why is this offensive to people that are not Nazis? I don't know. And it's a comedian guy, so it's and now Canada has passed laws of essentially policing speech. So you got to use pronouns that someone wants. So, for instance, if I wanted if my pronoun was Justin Trudeau was a dumbass.
003479623.
If someone was calling Justin Trudeau was a dumbass, people would have to call me Justin Trudeau is a dumbass if they don't use my proper name. All right. So if they were just like, pointing and being like, oh, look, he's running across the road. Well, they couldn't do that. In fact, they would have to say, hey, look at there. That's Justin Trudeau is a dumbass running across the road. Rather than just saying he is running across the road. The absurdity of this is it's just absurd. And it's just a way to police people's words. And now you even having areas like Norway and Canada has been known to now make laws where if you don't allow your children to express what sex they are, right? When I don't understand how a 6-year-old could even understand sex without being taught about that. Which I don't know why you're even teaching a kid at 6 years old sex. You can have your kids removed from you because you're not allowing them to express their genderness. That's just absurd. It's just absurd. It's just another way for government to have control of your family. That's all this is. And then in Norway, there was just a child removed from a parent because he was being bullied at school, so they figured best way to fix this and remedy this is to pull him out of that school, homeschool him until they can find a new school to send him to. Instead, the school calls up their child protective service and essentially attacks the family and the kid. There's a video out there, literally a cop chases down the kid. Kid's scared. It's absurd that these people are chasing a kid down. For what? How are you serving any at all help to this child? All you did was just teach this kid to hate the state. You just pulled this kid from its family, from the people that he loves and cares about. You're not gonna have a person growing up to love you for that. I tell you that, for instance. You're literally breeding hate at that point. It's just these people who, it's called pathological altruistic people. They feel like they're helping people so much that they look past the harm that it actually causes. It's like this heroin addict needs heroin real bad, and you feel so bad because they're in pain because they don't have heroin, so you just keep on giving them money so they can keep on buying their heroin. You just don't care about them actually destroying themselves. So I think it's pretty much become our duty now, people who are truth seekers, people who follow only reason and evidence, people who do not resist what is true, what is the facts, the evidence. To who that is out there, pretty much right now, I think it's our job, our duty, to at least try to document what is happening and try to make sense of it all. So when this is all done and said, over with, when finally the government tit of heroin essentially is done, dried up like a dried up prune, when finally the little bit of glue of ethics that remains finally comes untethered from the hand of justice and the hands of the righteous, it's going to be a really ugly time. But after that, hopefully all the information that we can gather up that makes sense of what's happening, hopefully the people in the future can really utilize what these truth sayers, these people who rely on the evidence, the data, hopefully the people in the future really utilize that and build a next community or whatever that's next after this, whatever's next after this experiment that has lasted for about 250 years that's called America. Whatever that's next after that, whatever they build up after this, hopefully they adhere all the information that we have to offer. Because it would be really sad if they just do it all over again. And it seems like it historically, humans have learned through their past mistakes. As best as we can. I mean, of course, there's certain things that we don't seem to want to be reminded of. For instance, the fall of Rome. The fall of Rome really comes from, well, essentially the same things are kind of happening now. An influx of immigration that has really, that doesn't bring too much value at all to the nation, nor do they come here with the intentions of actually bringing value. It's the same thing that the immigrants of the time of Rome were doing the same thing. They just, all they wanted was part of become a citizen so they can vote, and which allowed them to essentially subsidize their little towns in that. Get soldiers to come there to protect them and all this other stuff, and bring food and whatnot, bring some wealth to these towns, which essentially withers away the Rome's economics. I mean, that's something that just sadly is not talked about enough and understood enough, that one of the reasons why Rome fell was because an influx of immigrants. And one of the supposed reasons was that the rulers at that time were losing votes. So if they could just bring in people of the north in and vote for them for whatever that was that they wanted, they could still remain to have power. While at the same time, these people who were in power, getting these votes, they didn't care about the future of the nation. They didn't care about the future of their children. All they cared about was in the moment gratification, which is one of the undermining factors of government. People are very self-interest, and if they can find a way that they can build wealth, take resources, and give it to themselves or their family, they will. It's inedible. It's the old saying, power corrupts. Power corrupts indefinitely. Like, it's sad. As the other day, people tweeted out that there was a caravan coming up from South America, places like Honduras and such. And I was all like, well, what do you mean they're marching up? So I looked it up, and they were on their way through Mexico, and they were being allowed to pass through Mexico after coming from South America. Well, you'd think that Mexico wouldn't, and this isn't a small caravan, essentially, and I don't even know why they're called a caravan. They're called an invading group of people. And the fact is that they're actually invading Mexico at the moment by passing through Mexico without warrant, without privilege, without the permission, essentially, from the Mexico government. But I take those words back. They're complicit now because they're allowing them. And now Trump is talking about saying now there is no deal for DACA, and we might actually just say hell with NATO after those were on the tables for fixing and actually making it better, having compromising and better negotiations, so essentially America's not being screwed over. In fact, let's try to get everybody to win-win. Except right now it's a win-lose. Win for other nations, lose for America. Which brings me to another point. Some weird reason, I swear, since there's so many atheists now, and there's a lot of Christians who are not. I would almost claim that they're not even true Christians. Just people who just say they're Christians and never swear by the Bible, and half of them don't even know much of the Bible. But I swear, because of the fact that they lost touch of this, and this is coming from an atheist, that a lot of these people have lost the ability to feel responsible for things or to repent. And in some weird way, I swear that this is another way for them to repent by saying we are evil, so we need to help these people that we've been so evil to. It's kind of fucked up because it's like, how is their children at all responsible, for the misdeeds of the past? It's one thing to say that you are, but to lay that same foundation on your own children, that's pretty disgusting. That's pretty evil. That is evil. To make your children feel like they're evil when they have never caused evil to begin with. Oh, that's sad. It's very sad that there's people out there like that. So now, after this caravan, supposedly, I call it an invasion of immigrants, illegal immigrants. Now, even Trump has come out and said that we need to do something about it, essentially. And there's no more DACA deal and there's no more NATO deal if nothing's done about this. You would think that if people hated that, his approval ratings would have gone down. It's at 50%. I wonder what it would be at the end of this week after saying DACA's done and NATO we might pull out of because of this. Nothing's done about it. If it increases in the next week or two, it'd be awesome. But again, I don't know if it'll be enough for people to get behind them and actually try to get this stuff taken care of before it kind of is too late. But there might be a way to actually reverse it if enough people finally go, you know what, we need to remove the needle from our arm and say enough and enough with the guilt, and we're guilt free now from all the reparations that we have given over the last 150 years, and not only the reparations, but the fact that America and Western European nations have given so many freedoms to the world and education to the world, it's enough is enough. You know, if we can get enough people to finally be like that, there might be a chance to reverse a lot of this. But the reason why I'm starting to become pessimistic about that is that there's so many dumb people out there in the world. There are so many dumb people who just don't listen to reason, evidence, facts. They will make up excuses. They will say everything possible to justify their irrationality, like saying that those facts were made up by white people and those facts were made through white supremacy. Like, that's probably one of the most stupidest things that I ever heard. I mean, if I'm a person who's doing a study, you know, I'm just going to give a quick example why I think this is so stupid. If I was to these people are passing me, and it's like, come on, people, like, I got a big dump truck in front of me, I'm in my work vehicle. But anyways, oh, I lost my thought now. Ah, bummer. I hate that when I do that. Hate that when that happens. One of the reasons why I'm kind of starting to become pessimistic about this is that because there's so many dumb people out there that they just don't want to listen to reason and evidence, because the heroin drip of welfare that comes from the state, it's so juicy, it's so tasty, it's so easy that people don't want to give it up. And there's definitely more stupid people than there is smart people. And the sad reality too to this is that a lot of smart people are not given birth like they used to. See, at one time it used to be the majority of people that were giving, you know, large numbers of birth were the wealthy people, and it's because they could afford the 12 kids. Nowadays, wealthy people can't afford 12 kids. The only people that can afford those 12 kids are welfare recipients, because essentially they don't need to waste 40 plus hours. If you got 12 kids, you're working like 80 hours per week. And as a welfare recipient, you don't have to do that. You don't have to spend 80 hours out of the house to earn money. You can, in fact, just sit at home and claim welfare. And not even have to rely on a man, because you could just point to the state and be like, you know, wave to the state and ask them for one of the nipples and start sucking away. You know, and that's another point I'll bring to is that it's interesting on how a lot of these people say, well, we want to be independent from men while having all these kids. Well, the problem is that you go to the welfare, which is ran practically by men, you know, and also the money that comes from, or the money that builds the welfare is majority comes from men. And then if the father doesn't pay up child support, it's usually men that go arrest him or point a gun at him and tell him to pay his dues out. So it's just like, definitely these people just don't know what the hell they're talking about. But what they just want is easy, safety, and things that are easy in life. Rather than, you know, saying that I always said maybe it comes from somewhere. I think I'm the one who made this up myself, but everything easy in life is no good for you. Everything that's hard in life is what's actually good for you. And I really believe that is true, because it seems like the more and more as I grow up and realize the world in front of me, everything that has essentially challenged me and I had to push through that has benefited me in some way. Whereas everything that was really easy, which was like when I was, in my young 20s, I party and just do whatever. I had fun, I thought I was actually doing something in my life. It was really easy. All that was really easy. And in fact, too, it was really easy just to not be assertive or upfront about a lot of the bullshit that I seen in front of me. Keep it silence. That was easy actually to do. It was easy, but it was taking a toll on my consciousness, though, I would have to say. It was taking a toll on my ability to see reasoning, logic. And now, since I'm in my early 30s, and it's been probably about the last 5-6 years or so, I've really have come to the idea of understanding that everything that was easy that I was doing had zero benefit to actual negative impact in my life in some way or another. And I swear, this is why we have mass immigration. And it's not because people want to help people either. It's because a lot of these immigrants rather have it easy rather than having it hard. I mean, to sit there and say that that's a lie, that would be a big lie, because the fact is most of these people that are coming from these countries is not easy living conditions. It's not easy living conditions, which is why there's so many immigrants trying to push into a country that has so much prosperity to give, essentially. But that was created and built out of struggle. That was created and built out of people realizing that sometimes what people did not want to hear or wanted to do, like sacrifice themselves or lose all their loved ones and friendship because you had something truth to say. Well, that's what this nation America was built out of. Essentially, that's what the Magna Carta was built out of. And now that's starting to be all undermined just because people want it easy. Which brings me back to, again, to Trump's 50% approval rating. I mean, all the struggles that he's had to go through to win the presidency, to continue to be where he's at, to stand up against the onslaught of media and political hacks that are, especially on the Republican side, that don't stand with him, that actually go against him. I mean, the struggle of all that hardship, that him standing up against all that him standing up against that huge tidal wave that should have pushed him down. Well, I would have to admit, it is kind of swallowing him up a little bit. And it kind of shown with this omnibus bill. Unless he reverse it, maybe he'll pop up with some badass arm floaties. I don't know, but all this onslaught against him, and yet he perseveres through all that. And people are seeing that, which is why I believe he's getting a 50% approval rating now. Because people are recognizing that this man has been pushing through some of the most difficult stuff that's ever been thrown at a president. At least in my lifetime, and I'm sure the majority of people's lifetime, if not everybody in this nation's lifetime, if you want to admit it or not. this president, Donald D. Trump, or whatever, Donald J. Trump, whatever his middle name is, but Donald Trump, the president, like all the stuff that he's had to deal with, people recognize that now. People are starting to recognize it, and starting to recognize what he's trying to do for this country, and what he has done so far. And with two bases, even his own base, that is against him on so many things, and for what he has able to get done so far, it's quite amazing. I would say it's quite amazing. It's more amazing than what Obama was able to get done, due to the fact that the Republicans weren't helping him at all, or were totally against him. Which I think that was all a big ruse. Like, it didn't matter what the Republicans were against in the case, because they knew that Obama was going to get a lot of the things that he wanted done anyways without their help. And I think this is kind of proof enough to where they had the opportunity to finally repeal Obamacare, and look at what happened. They all folded after they all supposedly voted against. I think that is an example of their lack of integrity to being consistent. I've been told I'm a Republican because I voted for Trump. I laugh at that, because I hate the Republicans just as much as I hate the Democrats. I didn't vote for Trump because Trump was a Republican. I voted for him because he wasn't another cog of this status quo of swallowing up human dignity and integrity and values and our traditions of this nation. Just, that whole monster cog machine was just swallowing up things left and right, all our rights and whatnot. So Trump wasn't one of those. In fact, he was the wrench getting tossed into the cog system, which is why so many Republicans hate him as much as Democrats. And he was the underdog, essentially, of it all. That's why he got my vote. He had my vote because all my life I've heard nothing but, why do we keep on hiring career politicians? And finally, we voted someone in that doesn't have a career is not a career politician, but just to throw words at him like he has no experience in politics. Well, that's why I voted for him. Because I'm sick of these people who all they've known is politics, and all they know is how to essentially take advantage and distort and reinterpret our Constitution or our laws, or make up laws, or make up absurd, ridiculous narratives to essentially manipulate people into doing things or thinking one way. Finally, we got someone that is the opposite. Well, I don't want to say the opposite, but someone that's not one of them. He's his own person, which is why they hate him so much. The fact that he was able to do this without ever becoming a senator or congressman or any mayor or nothing. He was nothing in government. First president to ever become president, but yet has never really participated in our government. Beyond probably like lobbying people, which is, you pretty much have to do that if you're a large business. You play by the rules, and that's one of the rules that they play by, which is it's scandalous of companies able to do that, since us small people can't do that. We can't lobby congressmen for $50,000 just because we have $50,000, and if they go for it or they don't go for it, well, we just can't take that risk. As small people can't take it. But big companies, well, they can. But multi-billion-dollar companies, they can. And that's one of the rules that they can do. And if you don't do it, well, you're pretty much a dumbass. Because the next business that's next to you, that's your competitor, well, they're doing it. And they're doing it to the way where they're hopefully being the only competitor, so they can kick you out of the race. So now we're seeing some light, essentially, of what all these people in the last couple decades, especially the last couple years, or just the last 3 years, a lot of people have come out and been like, yeah, here's the proof, here's the data, here's the facts of all the issues, why things are things, why humans being this way, why, between tribalism, genetics, and how welfare and government assistance is all being distorted. It's all being not talked about in truth. And then whatever it is, it's attacked, and not the data, but the people who speak up about this stuff. The data are attacked verbally and physically. So that's where we are now. I think we've always been somewhat like that. It's just that it was a building up of it, and now we're at a point where now we can see the manifestation of all these people's true hatred against truth. And I think this all can be related back to our family structure. The majority of these liberals, these leftists, these Democrats, the majority of them share something, a lot of them share something in common. Raised by a single parent. And mostly single mothers. That's one variable, and I think that's a huge variable. The second part to that variable is government education. Well, so-called education. Because now you have teachers that are being just completely open about telling white people, especially white boys, that they're privileged and they are the cause of the patriarch and need to stand up against it. Brainwashing kids before they have the opportunity to really experience the world and through their own eyes. I mean, but I think one of the major malfunctions go back to the family. And the fact that there's a lack of fathers being in the family is giving people, the single parent children, the idea that men are less valued, when they don't clearly see that men are still the ones that provide the most resources in this country. And they will always attack back at, women need to be strong and independent. But yet, these same people will attack Katie Hopkins, Lauren Southerns, Kellyanne Conway, one more I can't think of off the top of my head. I can't remember what her name is. But Laura Ingraham, that's not the one I'm thinking of. There's someone else. But all these women, they're really essentially powerful, strong, independent women. Except, does the left lift them up with their narrative that women need to be strong and independent? No. Because that narrative doesn't fit with these women, because these women are on the right side rather than the left side, or these women are Republicans rather than Democrats, or you get the idea. So, these people are relentlessly attacking the family, attacking anybody who stands up with the facts, rationality, reasoning. No matter if you're a female or a male. Doesn't matter if you're a black woman or a black man. Doesn't matter if you're a Hispanic, female or male. If you don't stand up with those people, they will denounce you as Nazis, will denounce you as hateful people. And again, it comes back to their families. I think they lack the ability to deal with confrontation because they weren't allowed to have confrontations within their family structure. It was always the mother or the father's way and not the kid's way at all. It was always the kids can experience what it is to fail. We protect them from that 24/7. I think those play a part and why people are so anti-rational, so anti-logical. They're so hard to reason with. And it comes from, if they can start reasoning, if they can start truly being objective and rational about the world, well, what they're faced with is their own trauma, their own life experiences. Because if you're able to rationalize the world and you're able to rationalize all the horrific things that your parents have done to you, which a lot of these people don't want to be reminded of, don't want to be shown that is the truth of what their relationship was with their parents. So rather than finally standing up and becoming an adult about it and realizing that a lot of this stems from their family, they'll rather insult, defame, dismiss, use ad hominems, and physically assault. This is Black Bean Samson. I think that's about it I have to say. If you like what I had to say, or if you have something to add to my argument or go against my argument or what I just had to say, go ahead and say it and enter the below in the comments. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You all have a good day.